Hello, my COP 1000 students. This is Dennis. I am looking at the menu function assignment. Just wanted to run an example of a solution. And again, notice of a solution, not the solution, because there's many solutions to whatever problem we're trying to resolve. So as you can see on my screen, this is my main. So everything on the screen is my main. In my main, I define these variables. As a matter of fact, I don't even need this one, so let's get rid of it. So in my main, I defined the variables that you see. So I have my variables. The first thing I did do is I set my choice variable, which is what I'm going to use to get the choice from the menu from the user, to anything but Q. So I'm going to be in this while loop until the user does enter a capital or a Q, not even a capital Q. If they enter a capital or a G, an S, an A, an H, an L, or Q, then these little functions will fire. Otherwise, if they enter anything else, this is my catch-all, and I'm going to tell them invalid selection. I'll talk to you about this marquee thing that I wrote in a little bit. Okay, so the first thing I want you to focus on is get choice equals G. So what I'm doing is I'm calling get a number. I am passing it these variables that I created up here. The sum, the high, the low, and the count. The sum, the high, the low, and the count. I am returning from this function the sum, the high, the low, and the count. Let's go look at this. So here's my function get number. And notice this is the sum, this is the high and low, and the count from above. I just got lazy here and I used S, H, L, and C. It's kind of legal to do a single letter down here, not up top, because the up top part, the call, defines what these S's, H, L's, and C actually mean. I actually did it here too for you as a comment. All right, so the first thing I did is I create a Boolean variable and I assign it a default value of true so that I get into this while loop and I stay in this while loop. So I'm going to loop while the user types in a bad value. So the first thing I'm doing is what's called a try. So my try, all the code in a try will execute, and then the except will be skipped, meaning I would return down here, providing nothing causes what's called an exception in my try clause. If I hit an exception in my try clause, then I'm going to skip the rest of the try and go down into the except part and run this code. What would cause an exception? It would be this right here. So I am asking the user to enter a number. If they enter a letter, then this is going to fail, and I'm going to come down in here and I'm going to tell them they entered a non-integer value, try again, and so on. And just so you could see, I'm going to use my marquee down here. And you'll see what that does in a minute. So I stay in this loop until they do not enter a bad value. Once they don't, meaning they entered a good value, I return the sum, the high, the low, and the count. Now let's take a look at what I did in here. So in my try, the first thing I do is I store whatever they typed in the result. Then I accumulate it in my sum. So this is accumulating the sum. This is taking whatever the sum used to equal plus the result and storing it back in sum. Now here's a little trick. If count, which started at 0, still equals 0, that means this is the very first value ever seen. Well, if I only saw one value, that implies, or that means, common sense, that it is the highest number I've ever seen, and it's also the lowest. So when I only have one, that one is high and low. This avoids you from having to do a like a minus 9999999 or a plus 99999 for either high or low. So this is only going to be true once, the first time. Now down in here, I'm going to test this every time. If the current number is bigger than the current number I've ever seen, then the highest number I've ever seen, not the current, the highest, is the current number. Same thing for the lowest. Down here, every time I enter some number, I increment this counter, and again, this is so I break the loop. So here again is the call to that get number function. When this is done, these values should be correct for these 4 variable locations. Let's look at the rest of this Display sum, all it does, let's take a look if I could find display sum. Here's to display the sum. It's a very simple little program. And what it does is the first thing it does is checks to make sure there's something to display. Checks to make sure there's something to display. If there isn't, I inform the user they have to enter at least one value. If there is, I display it. Now, notice I keep using this marquee, and you'll see that in a minute. The rest of the functions, display the sum, display the average, display the highest, the lowest, pretty similar to display the sum. I pass it in this case, to get the average, I need the sum and the count, so I can do that division. I also use the count to make sure there's something to display. The highest, I send down the highest, and the count, I use that just to say, did you enter anything? Same thing for the lowest, and here I say quit. I'll use my marquee again. All right, so let's go and see one more part of this program, and that's the get the value from the menu. So this is the get choice from the menu. So the first thing this thing does is it uses this marquee to display the word main menu, and then it prints out this menu, and then I prompt the user for input, and using enter your selection, I put it in this variable choice. This is just for my screen, and then I return choice as a capital letter so that up in my main I can manipulate it accordingly. That's pretty much it. That's the whole code. Let me show you it run. Well, let me show you marquee first, then I'll let you see. So here's the marquee function, and basically it's expecting a message or a string to be sent to it. First thing it does is it gets the length of that string plus 6. The reason I do that is I'm going to have two X's to the left, then a space, then the message, then a space, and then two X's to the right. So 2 and a space is 3, space and 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6. So to display the top bar, I'm displaying X's. I'm saying display X size times. Then I display two X's. This comma gives me a space, then the message. This comma gives me a space, then the two X's. That's the actual middle part. And then this does the bottom bar. All right, now let's. So here's the menu. Here's the program running. Notice this menu came from that marquee. So it gave me a series of X's across the top and the bottom, and then it's centered whatever I passed it inside of two X's with a space on either side. This is kind of cool because no matter what I send it, it auto adjusts to this like a marquee at a movie theater. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press a number or something that's not from the menu. This should use marquee and tell me there's an error. And here it goes. It says invalid selection, if you could see that. So I informed the user that they entered something invalid. Here's the menu again, and I'll try to enter something else. I'll do it with a number this time, and you can see it's the same issues. So this time I'm going to say show the sum. Using the marquee, it says you must enter at least one value before I can display anything. Same thing for like high and low and so on. And by the way, notice when I hit that H for high, I did not enter capital H. I entered a lowercase h, but the program converted it to an uppercase letter. All right, let me make this work for real. So here's my enter a number. So this is getting a value from the user. I'll try 6. I'm going to do another number. I'll do 2. And then I'm going to do another number. And this time I'm going to do F. Well, that's not a number. Let's see what happens. You entered a non-integer value. Try it again. So I'm going to enter a 5. All right, so I'm going to display the sum. There's the sum. What did I enter? I entered a I entered a 2. I'm sorry, I entered a 6, a 2, and a 5, and that does that up to 13. 6, 2, and 5. So if I want to display the average of 6, 2, and 5 is 4.333, and hopefully you know how to make that not look like a bunch of 3s. And then I'm going to display the highest. Well, that's the 6. See it? The 6. I'll display the lowest. That's the 2. And that's basically it. When I quit this program, it's going to use marquee to say thank you or something. And thanks for playing the program. There's my marquee. I'm at 10 minutes, so I'm going to stop. Good luck with your next